Proudest moment of my life. One knee in the dust, king's sword on my shoulder, listening to the words, "In the name of the warrior, I charge you to be brave."
In the name of the warrior, I charge you to be brave. In the name of the Father, I charge you to be just. In the name of the Mother, I charge you to defend the innocent. Arise, a knight of the Seven Kingdoms.
I was squire to Sir Arlen of Pennytree. He charged me to be a good knight, to defend the weak and the innocent, and I swore that I would.
What's up, everybody? I am so freaking excited to have my good friend back. We started this channel, three years and 4 months ago, just after House of the Dragon. I think there were still 2 episodes left on Rings of Power, if I remember correctly. And we were sitting there talking about shit, and we were yelling at each other like, this is why this is shit. This is why this is so good. And, you know, around the heels of all the crap from Star Wars. And we decided, you know what, let's start a YouTube channel. He's the one that introduced me to Neurotic, F&T, Drunk 3PO, and is because of him that I've got to meet all of y'all, that I have got to sit there and talk to X-Wing, who's become like my best friend. I am super freaking excited to finally welcome back to the channel, Dan!
Hey, Caleb, it is good to be back. I couldn't be happier to be here on such a good occasion. I'm sure we'll get into the details a little bit, but just a little bit of housekeeping, as we call it. I do want to thank the King's Advisors for welcoming me back with open arms. Going through, I would say the word personal things, but it's all been good news between jobs and promotions and getting married, and now I've got a child on the way. I am just super excited to make sure that I put my best foot forward for this and have a great time with you. I'm happy to be back. I think that we've gotten a little bit out of the way just on a phone call the other day about what we love, what we have issues with, and believe me, I'm not here to sugarcoat anything. I'm glad to be on your channel because I will risk your channel. I'm just kidding. But no, I have got some good things to say. I've got some bad things to say.
Even on some bad things, they're not bad things. They're things that we, as it stands right now, do not think that they're going to be able to do everything the justice that it deserves. It's kind of like there's changes in Lord of the Rings. Like the Arwen thing is a change. The elves at Helm's Deep are a change, but they're not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you maybe clarifying that. And I say bad as relative here. Like I'm saying you have the good and the bad. And overall, I really enjoyed this show. I'm not sure if Caleb had a chance to address the show previously, but I have been watching the show not week to week. I waited for it all to come out at one time because, well, I am a bit of a stick in the mud when it comes to George R.R. Martin. I've read all the books. I've read everything that he's made in terms of Westeros and A Song of Ice and Fire and Fire and Blood and Knights of the Seven Kingdoms, and yet I still found myself loathing this show coming out. I was not looking forward to it. I thought that while it would be fun to see some of the things from the book and the graphic novel, I overall thought that I was done with Westeros. I really, truly thought that with the end of House of the Dragon Season 2. I've just been kind of eye-rolling and just I've left the fan boards. I've left the message groups. Song of Ice and Fire Reddit. One of my favorite things was the theories, and I since left that behind me. So to have this show come back, I wanted to watch it like a movie, and there is a lot of good things to say about this. I'm really pleased with the way, I would say 80%, 85% of the show came out. And we can dive into some details. But what did you think overall, Caleb?
Well, let me hit the chat real quick. Debbie can't be here. Apparently, she had to go to work. The Aussie has decided to work for once. So much of that time off. I hope she hears this on the replay. And Jose is here. Jose is also a very big Song of Ice and Fire fan. And he and Sean have been the correctors for me. There have been a couple of times that I have, let's say, misspoken, and they've been very quick to go, no, that's not the way it was done. So I've been really appreciative of them lately. But yeah, overall, I agree with you. I'm and we had a similar take with Game of Thrones in general and House of the Dragon Season 1 when we talked about it 3 years ago. But I'm a little more kind than you when it comes to things changing. For me, it's about 90 to, let's say, 93% that I really enjoyed. After today, there's a couple more things that or there's one more thing that makes something even more annoying. I don't know if you've gotten on what's it called, on Twitter or X today, but there's two more things that were announced today that make some decisions by Ira Parker not make any sense. In my opinion.
You're going to have to get my live reaction to that because
good. Caleb, live reactions are always the best.
Yeah, definitely. I've just been I had a little bit more free time yesterday, but I just was in court today, and in the good way, not in the trouble way. But yeah, no. So just been a busy day. Glad I could jump on here, but we'll have to maybe let's get through some of our thoughts, I suppose, and then you can hit me with a live reaction on some of that news, so that way we're not bouncing around, if that makes sense.
So, do you want to? I mean, you're the guest. How do you want to start? Do you want to go episode by episode? Do you want to talk about the show in its entirety?
Oh, well, you know what? That you honor me by giving me guest right, but it is your show, so I don't want to
salt and bread.
Salt and bread, vittles are here for us, and I'll tell you what. You know what? Why don't we just jump into? I'll go with some of my overall thoughts, and then I'll jump into it a little bit like how we discussed it yesterday. So overall, I do think I am probably – there's a couple of major things that I just really had an issue with that take it down some points for me. But before I even get into that, I want to build it up because, I mean, speaking of building up, the sets in this show, the sets and the costumes and the armor. And I know, I'm not like a medieval purist when it comes to armor. I just liked – the colored armor and, seeing all the different things.
It wasn't grayscale.
No, it wasn't grayscale. There were some really bright colors, and I really enjoyed, I think it was when they were in Lionel's tent in the first episode when I was like, oh man, I just love this set. This is all the antlers everywhere. It's all yellow. I just really enjoyed feeling like I was a part of the world, part of the Reach. And the reason why I say that is because, as many of the fans know, we don't get to slow down in Westeros when it comes to Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. It's you got to go over here and you got to bounce over here, and this person's spying on this person, but this person didn't realize that this person was listening, and so there's a lot of bouncing around. Whereas with this show, it was just so nice to slow down and hang out with Dunk and follow him along. And I don't think we get a lot of egg in the first episode. We do get some, but just that first episode of just like, this is the guy we're following. This is how his adventure begins. And it was really nice. I felt like I could relax and like I was still watching it. Obviously I'm consuming the whole thing. So I do want to give praise for feeling like I was a part of that. I really do enjoy that. The Ashford town was excellent. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the side characters in the show. Like I really enjoyed the Castellan, I suppose we would call him, the guy who put on the Master of the Games. He was really funny. I thought he was great. I thought the great character actor, the Hawk and a Loogie thing. Just honestly, at first I thought I was like, huh, and then he did it again. I was like, all right, now this is really funny.
So it's funny because I mean, we're men. I'm sure you've hawked a loogie before. I don't think I've ever done that just in the middle of the fucking day. I've never just gone. Anytime I do that shit, it's when I'm waking up. I got all that, whatever crap in my mouth from sleeping with my mouth open. Because
definitely, maybe a little bit more when you're sick in the middle of the day, which I kind of thought maybe that was what it was kind of driving home, was like maybe the guy was gross or sick or you know what I mean. So I think it was just a little bit of that there too. Maybe just a little lack of respect for Dunk. Like he's like, I don't have to watch myself, because when you see him later in the show, he is,
he's very proper. He's standing behind Ashford the entire time.
Yes,
And even later when he goes to talk to Dunk as the person knowing that, hey, this guy's nothing. He because he knows what he's asking him. He's very proper there as well. So I totally agree with you that the world, even though, I mean, the entirety of the show takes place over the course of 4 days and 3 miles, really, maybe a little bit longer, just depending on where that first tree is. But everything felt very lived in. And, we find out later from Ira that, for every dollar that every Game of Thrones show has had, they had 25 cents. So that the fact that they were able to do this, and one of the things that's always bugged me about the Game of Thrones shows is everything should really end up getting cheaper, because you've already built the stuff. You shouldn't have to spend $10 million in season 2 when you spent $10 million in season 1, because you've already got all the sets. Now, with something like the second season of Night of the Seven Kingdoms, it's going to be an entirely new location. But as long as you've got the majority of all that stuff, everything should get cheaper. So I really loved how they spread every penny, and you could kind of see, and they talk about it a lot in the 5th episode, where they talk about how they use the fog and everything to kind of be able to hide the unfinished set. Movie magic is what we used to call it. And I love how we were able to kind of feel like we were living in that world and still be able to also kind of just be an observer.
I mean? It was definitely nice. It was definitely that's one of the things I think that the show did excellently, and I didn't stop feeling like that throughout the show. So all 6 episodes, I felt that coming in big time. I really enjoyed that aspect of it. To speak to the budget slightly, it does kind of vary, because and this is a great contrast with Game of Thrones, because Game of Thrones has so many locations. I mean, you've got Essos, you've got Winterfell, you've got the Northern Camp when they're on the march in the 2nd season, you've got King's Landing, you've got all the Riverlands, Sunspear, all the stuff that you've got to take into account, and that might grow a budget, but also importantly too is the salaries. I mean, there's going to be a certain point where the salaries are going to want to kind of go up, because Jon Snow is Kit Harington. He might not have the pull in season 2, but probably by season 5 he's going to be able to command a bit more a salary there. For Same with Emilia Clarke and stuff like that. And same with Jaime and Cersei, although Cersei should have been killed off way sooner. I think it was just because they loved her as an actress that they didn't want to risk losing her. But to send it back to
let's pull it back to Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna be dipping in.
That's a road you and I don't need to go down that road.
No. I'm gonna be dipping into Westeros, but not that sense. But to bring it back to season 2 potentially, the nice part about it, and spoiler free, is it will be one set. You know what I mean? Like there's probably gonna be a flashback, and
I think that's when and I'll get to chat in just a sec, but I think that's where we're seeing this claim that they're going to be that we're going to see Dorne. I think we're gonna get a little bit of information about what happened between that 1.5 years and between the two stories. And I think part of it is we're going to see a little bit more of Dorne. We know they head down to Dorne. I would be surprised to see Tansel again.
I would be very surprised to see Tansel again.
Well, I know. I think they'll do it in the show. I think we'll get a flashback where he, goes back to where they see a puppet show and she's there. Whether or not it's some long flashback or just some nice little nod to that first season. That's if I was going to do it. That's how I would do it. I would just do. She looks at him, smiles, and he wakes up.
You know what? Maybe a dream. That would be clever. Yeah. You know what I mean?
That's a good point too. Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be clever to do that as a framing. But to get to that, if you don't mind, I'm going to kind of circle back just to like first couple episodes and kind of get that initial out of the way of just like I really found the first 4 episodes to be excellent. I was totally engaged. I really loved almost every single scene. I don't think there was anything that I was really like eye rolling.
When's the last time you reread them?
Over the summer. Over the Christmas.
Recent.
Yeah, over Christmas because I listened to it in the car on a road trip because the show was coming out, and my wife really loves these. Like, this is the only Westeros she likes is Dunk and Egg. So we throw these on 3 hours in a car ride. It's a great way to spend the time, and it's funny when we first started listening to it. It's about we usually take a pretty standard road trip that's like usually about 5.5 hours, and we listened to the first one. She loved it so much that we started listening to the second one. And then by the time our trip was over, we finished it at our destination. She didn't want to leave the Sworn Sword for the last 30 minutes. She's like, no, we got to finish this. So we really enjoy these. They're really, it's a sweet world to be in. And I felt like they brought that to life.
I totally agree.
I will go ahead and cross that bridge of just saying I was not the biggest fan of the flashback. I really
let me before we hit the flashback because that's going to be a nice chunk.
Yeah,
Iron Faith says like C.S. Lewis and Tolkien try to bring back basic ideas of chivalry. Sounds like this series wants to, and I totally agree. I think one of the things that we've seen both from people like Ryan Kennel down to the random dude on Twitter is this enjoyment of a story about a knight being what we all kind of envision a knight to be. We haven't had knights real knights in 700 years. And I think we all want to believe that the knight used to be this real chivalrous hero almost. And, in the back of our mind, I'm sure we all kind of agree, probably wasn't really. It was probably more of kind of an asshole. The beginning of the lords and nobility and all that. But we can all dream. And what this show does is this is not some right-wing show or some anti-woke show. All it is a show that is about this man who wants to be honorable. That's all he really cares about is being a good knight. It's the tagline of the thing is, a knight who kept his oath. Which is the second thing that I have an issue with. That we didn't get the line.
Yeah, it did sting a bit to have such an important line taken away. And that is something that I can genuinely overlook. Like, it's not exactly a plot point. Would I have liked to see, all the peasants?
Well, I thought they were going to have the whore say it.
I thought that would have been a good way for her to say. I would definitely think that would have taken away from Steely Pate because he still did great, but that was his line. Yeah. I really genuinely thought we were going to see Dunk turn around and all the peasants like kind of giving him thumbs up and being happy. And he's like, why all of a sudden do people like me? And then that's when the line would come in.
Yeah.
And
which is what happens in the book. In the book,
Yeah.
he's walking back. Now I've got it right here, and I was trying to find it last night when I was doing this with Capable Gentleman, and I couldn't. But there is a moment where he's either walking to the funeral, back from the funeral, or back from Makar the first time, where everyone is kind of muttering and talking about him, and he kind of clues in like, why are people so, why are they being nice to me now? And then that's when Steely Pate says, well, you're the knight that kept his oath. So that,
it's definitely a poignant line.
Yeah, I do wish we had gotten the line.
Yeah, and just to reiterate your point, the whole idea of a knight, right? A knight is somebody who comes with both privileges and duties. So it's like, while they are privileged enough to have arms and armor and horses and an income and land and command over small folk, the duties with that also are involved with, you're called up to arms. Like you are going to fight and die for your lord on the battlefield, which many knights did. I know people get like an idea of like, oh, well, the highborn send the knights to die. It's like, well, the highborn are sending the knights to fight, and this is their profession. And so with that duty comes the honor. This is where the honor part of the show really takes the center stage for me, because what we're dealing with here is a guy who only knows how to fight. Dunk comes from no wealth, no land. He doesn't have any highborn privilege at all. But what he can do is the most basic thing a man can do, and that's fight. And so that's why
shit out of you.
Beat and fight and get up. And that's one of the things that I enjoyed about the show was showing that you really can make it in the world by doing what's right. And even if you don't think that, even if like it's not a just war, all the politics of it, at the end of the day, being commanded to being honor bound to fight and doing that, it's special. And this is maybe where we can get into some of the debate between, was he knighted? Was he not knighted? Does it matter? Would it be better if he wasn't knighted? And I understand a lot of the points about like, oh, it would make a better story if like the greatest knight in Westeros history wasn't knighted. And yeah, I'm not closed-minded to it, and I can see what people mean. But if I can offer the alternative of like, well, what would it mean if he proved himself a knight regardless of like no witnesses, right? You and I were talking about this yesterday. With being attorneys, a lot of this comes down to evidence. And this is something where I really enjoyed it because, let's say, in all honesty, he was knighted. How are you going to prove it? Well, you can prove it by being a knight. That's how you prove it. You prove it by doing the right thing, regardless of if somebody saw you or not. If you were in that situation, you would keep to your word. You wouldn't just say, oh, shoot, I guess nobody would believe me. You would feel compelled to act like a knight, and that's what I think Dunk does in the stories. Now, is that better if he's not knighted? I don't know. I think it's better if he is knighted and then proves it. Like that's the merit of the fight, and kind of the merit of the entire question of is he honorable enough to defeat Aerion? That's one of the things that I really enjoyed about the whole series. Is to me, I'm a believer that Dunk was knighted. I don't know if I ever want the answer.
I am too.
Yeah.
Now, it's funny that you bring that up because this is one of the things that changes. I would argue that they made a decision and that they have basically confirmed that he's not knighted in the show. I know that Arlen wakes back up, but it does look like after he says a true knight finishes his story, that he dies right there. It absolutely looked like he goes, True Knight finishes his story. And Ira Parker did an interview that came out today. A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms showrunner Ira Parker says Dunk's knighthood is intentionally left ambiguous. At that moment, Dunk has never been knighted by Sir Arlen. He says, "Why did you never knight me?" And then Sir Arlen dies, and we think it's over. But then he's back, and as far as we know, the continuation of that scene is, "Boy, go get me my sword," even though he's actually wearing his sword. And then he knights him. There is no confirmation one way or the other coming out of that scene. That's exactly how Mr. R.R. Martin requested it. It remains ambiguous, and people can decide for themselves. I disagree, Ira. I think if you wanted it to remain ambiguous, then something should have happened immediately following a true knight finishes his story. Like, it should have been very clear that he was alive. Because he looks like he fucking died right there.
Yeah, I actually think that is the best answer you could get from somebody who has a lot of power within the show. I actually, when that scene came up, I was mad. I was like, oh, there goes the mystery. Oh, okay.
I was livid.
I was mad. And then when he does breathe again.
That story is a fucking Knight's Tale.
Yeah, I agree. And the reason why I'll say this is, like, I'll give credit to Ira Parker for doing that, because he could have just said, he could have answered it, but instead he breathes. And to me, as somebody who I guess is like, you know, let's say I'm a believer, if we're going to put ourselves into camps, like, I'm like, oh, I believe Dunk was knighted, not an irony camp of like, oh, well, it's actually ironic because he's not even a knight. It's like, you know, I get it that the world sucks and it's better that it's all irony. But, you know, to be candid, I do think it's better that Ira said, I wanted to leave it ambiguous, and he had him breathe again. Because once he breathed again, I was like, oh, cool, great. It's back to being ambiguous. Great.
Exactly.
I can tell myself that I'm not, there's no right answer here.
Yeah.
And so that's the way. I
just think that he should have kept that like smile and, you know, moved around for a little bit.
And maybe gotten up.
Gotten up or something. That he should have immediately kind of reverted back to this stillness.
Yeah. Because I can see what you mean, where it's like that's not what was conveyed. But I will say, you know, we didn't get a definitive answer. And him defending it, saying it was not supposed to be definitive, I can appreciate that as well. And then finally, I can appreciate that George hasn't lost his will to see what he wants done, in the sense of like, no, it's supposed to be ambiguous. Answer this. Like,
and that Ira Parker, who and see, based off of House of the Dragon, we know that if the showrunner says we're going to do this, that seems to be the decision.
Yeah.
And it is nice to know that so far as where season 2 ended, or season 1 ended, Ira Parker is still on the pro George train.
Yeah, because this is actually a great segue into discussing what I believe the purpose of these tales is to be. And they are not like, oh, grand, we need the kings to do this for this reason, and we need to take back the throne for that reason. Like, I don't think it's that at all. A lot of this is to show the complexity of the world. And I mean that because in this story, it's complex about whether or not Dunk is a knight. It's complex about whether or not Dunk did the right thing by punching Aaron. I know from our objective viewer standpoint, it's like, oh, okay, well, you know, he definitely did the right thing because he was hurting a girl. But at the same time, you have to remember the world that is going on around them, where the Targaryens just fought a civil war. Yeah. Many of the Reach houses rose up against the Targaryens, and seeing a puppet, seeing a dragon, let alone a puppet dragon, be slain, you know, that could be seen as treason. I'm not justifying
even though that story is an Age of Heroes story, that's almost, it would be kind of like telling an American that we're not allowed to talk about Paul Revere. Like, that's where, like, this story of the Mirror Knight, this comes out of the Age of Heroes. It's up there with Azor Ahai. So,
which is interesting because Westeros doesn't have dragons. So how does that? Yeah. Well, anyway, that's a whole different thing.
They did 6,000 years ago.
Yeah.
So for that sort of thing to, be basically illegal. Like, this is a big deal. And one of the things that I loved, and I'm gonna pull us back towards the flashback in a second, but one of the things that I really loved about this show was it did an excellent job of doing member berries without doing the whole member. Like, there are so many things in that show that they do that a book fan is going to go, oh, look at that. That the show fan could just be like, oh, this is just part of the show. They don't have to know it. Like, the big example for me is Egg's song, when Aegon is singing about the Battle of Redgrass in episode 3. Or it might be 4. Is that 4?
I think it doesn't matter, candidly, but I'm talking about,
But he's singing about the Battle of Redgrass, which is the final fight in the first Blackfire Rebellion. And it's the battlefield we see in the flashback, and it works perfectly as just some song that he's singing about his family. If you remember back in like episode 3 or 4 of Game of Thrones, when Tyrion shows up to the inn the inn that Cat is at, and the minstrel goes up and goes, let me sing you the song of Lannister and your father's victory at King's Landing, or whatever it is.
Right.
That's what Aegon is doing. He's just singing a song that he's grown up listening to.
Yeah.
But if the book fan could sit there and go, oh, I know what that is. Oh, that's so cool. And which I think was what the Dothraki thing was supposed to be as well, but it just did not land.
It did. I know it landed for a lot of people. It did not land for me. And I will say, I was the Leonardo DiCaprio meme sitting up with the beer when he was singing the song. I was like, oh, there it is. I know what he's talking about. Like, I was there. I was totally. I'm totally fine with Easter eggs, and I think that maybe there's a big split between Easter eggs and member berries in that sense.
Exactly. I know that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm fine with that because it working well. Egg was doing something like, mindless, like, oh, everybody hums a song and does something like, washing the dishes or something. So I really like that. And your point of, what, like, it was just like something he grew up with, which he would have, you know what I mean? Which also goes to show of like, he was raised a little differently than Dunk might think, because he's hearing, actual music as opposed to like once in a blue moon at a tournament, you might hear a song. Yeah. The Dothraki thing, I see, like, if I could have substituted it for a different language, I would have thought it was cool. I just thought that it turned into a member berry.
Yeah. So one of the things that annoys me is the most annoying thing about Game of Thrones, Westeros, all that stuff, is the Twitter stands that think the only thing Game of Thrones is for Daenerys, or that the only thing that anyone can do wrong. You'll see those tweets every now and then. It'll be like, when her face looked like that, oh, I fucking wept. It's like, shut the fuck up. So that's for me. That's what the Dothraki thing was. That it was a attempt to kind of get those super big Dany stands into the show, and it turned me off a lot.
Yeah, I'm a Standerman, that, so I can't, I'm not going to sit here and say that she's, their fan, all fans are like whatever, like that's not my place to say whose fans are better, and that. What I didn't like about it was it started to feel like later Game of Thrones, where it was like teleporting. Because it's like, when you read the books, you realize how big the world is. And like, honestly, how kind of ridiculous it is that Arlen would have gone all the way over to the Dothraki Sea.
Because that's what he would have to do. Because there's no way a Dothraki showed up in Westeros. Real quick, let me thank Jim Watery, who's become a member. Welcome to the Kingdom. I forget what we called it over here. Welcome to the Kingdom. Let's see those actuallys in the chat. And And just like that, Clyde comes in with another 5 gifted subs, and Jim gifts another 5.
Wow, thank you guys. What generosity. Like I can't be more.
Membership. Let's see those well actuallys. They're in the emojis. I spent a whole lot of 3.5 minutes on them.
Caleb, your work does not go unnoticed. I'm sure the chat will be spamming.
And let's get the special one.
Thank you very much.
Well,
everybody.
thank you all
Very
so
nice.
much. And I agree with Clyde that if I manage to bully Dan enough, if you come back and leave comments about more stuff you want to hear about Game of Thrones, I'll bet you I can get him to come back.
I think so too. I like being bullied. I actually don't like how nice Caleb is most of the time.
You know they're never going to forget that.
No, I know.
A grown man saying I like being bullied. The memes come out tomorrow.
Yeah, and now it's on the internet. But I will think that it's because it's like what Arlen would have been great as is like somebody who could have spent time working for one of the free companies or one of the mercenary companies, right? And there were times when the mercenary companies would fight the Dothraki, which would explain like, oh, I know of the Dothraki, I know how they fight, which would be interesting. But it's like, oh, I speak a little Pentoshi or I speak a little Voluntees. You know what I mean? Like that would have been, to me, that would have been a little bit more, whoa, there's some nuance here. They're expanding this instead of just being like, oh, remember the Dothraki? Like, okay, that's where I was and then it went on and on and on. Like I was like, all right.
The whole thing. So let's start from the beginning of the flashback because we can all agree that 1 through 4, excellent. It builds. I mean, 4 is better than 3, 3 is better than 2, and 2 is better than 1. It builds throughout the entire first 4 episodes.
Yep.
And then we get to 5, and we get a really good beginning. I loved one. There were 2 things in that beginning I absolutely loved. I loved when Dunk tells him, "My lance." He cuts him off. He doesn't want to hear him. He doesn't want to hear him kind of, being a little worried about what's going to happen. He cuts him off and says, "My lance." And then he repeats his warning to him from the day before or 2 days before. And an Egg copies what Dunk did to him by woofing. Loved it. It was perfect. And I cannot overstate just how great those 2 are together. Dexter and Peter Clafley have been they're future stars, in my opinion. If they continue and the feel between the 2 of them continues to grow. I don't really know how it could get better.
I agree. I'd love to see them, everybody always hates like the typecasting and everybody's like, it's like Kit Harington didn't want to be the brooding knight. He wanted to go do something else. And Daenerys wanted to be an action star after this. Right. And I think sometimes you got to just kind of be the typecast. And I feel like if these 2 could make a career out of being a big brother and little brother, I really think that
absolutely
it would be
that's the Twins reboot that I want.
Oh, that would be hilarious. You know what I mean? That would be so funny. And then, oh yeah, that'd be great. But they've both been excellent. I think Peter has been just likable and earnest, and Dexter has been funny, and he's been quick-witted, and his facial expressions are like, I'm sure it's been, clouded in the ear to death at this point. But when he's like, what would you say when they were stupid? He's like, well, that's none of your business. Like, and it's like, what?
Yeah,
like,
and that's what I love. The whole thing felt very, very real. He's sitting there. He says, people used to call me stupid, and you can see, and I have done the exact same motion. Well,
exactly.
And he finally asked. He goes, "That's none of your damn business."
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
What do you mean? You just said it.
Takes a sip of the beer, and then it's funny later on when he's like, "Oh, I don't like ale. It tastes bad." He's like, "Well, I'm not going to buy you another one."
I don't like ale.
Yeah,
I I'm egg, and I just want, I don't like soft beef, and I don't like ale. Because it's disgusting.
Because
No,
it's
not.
disgusting. Yeah.
I mean, dude, I've had that conversation with my own brother. I've had that conversation with my dad.
Me too.
Like,
yeah.
It's perfect.
And I was wrong. The ale was good.
Oh, the ale and the beer is delicious.
It is good. So
I
I was wrong. But a little kid would say it's gross. So that's why it was funny. But
then we get, and I do have to, and I talked about it with Lee. I do have to say that camera shot that goes from back here through the helmet to his visor is one of the coolest things I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed. I know there's some criticism of the fight, and this is where I just like. This is where I get to prove I'm not a hard-headed person. It's like I understand that they wanted to show it through Dunk's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
That. I think it was a stylistic choice. I thought it was fine. I thought it was a good idea.
I agree.
And it's how it happens in the book. You don't know what happens in the book.
Yeah. I mean, we actually get more non-Dunk POV in the entire show than we do in the book. Yeah. And that's based solely off of the first 3.5 minutes of episode 4, or episode 3, where it's Egg training.
Yep.
That's it.
Exactly. And don't get me wrong. Did I want to see more combat? Did I want to see, the Laughing Storm laughing on the battlefield?
Always yes.
Yeah. I was really actually thought if they were going to expand anything, it was going to be
because
big boisterous
laughing at Maekar and pissing him off.
Oh, it would have been great.
Can you imagine if the thing that made Maekar kind of stop remembering what was going on was Baratheon laughing at him
and ringing in his ears just constantly.
Because that would have made what happens in the third book very interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
We're not gonna say what happens.
No,
we're not
we'll
gonna see
you then.
We'll see you in 2 years.
Yeah,
but let's start with the flashback.
Yeah, so after the visor shot. And he falls in the mud.
The flashback is the biggest thing that I think most people are kind of divided on.
Yeah.
So the first, and we're going to break it up into 5s because it's about 16 minutes. The first 5 minutes are basically him and Reef outside. Next 5 minutes are him and Rafe inside. And then it's him and Arlen walking. That's basically how it is. Maybe plus or minus a minute or two here and there. But so we get the first 5 minutes is him and Rafe outside of the Battle of Redgrass after it's been over, and they're basically picking everything clean to go sell it. There's a couple of cool things in that. I'm not a huge fan of Dunk trying to kill the guy because based solely off of what I have in the first book, because I have not reread book 2 and 3 yet, or story 2 and 3. There is nothing in the first one to kind of indicate that Dunk was ever. Well, actually, no, I take that back. He does describe himself as a bully in King's Landing. So I take it back completely now.
I'll defend your initial reaction there because I didn't like it either.
So I don't like it.
Bully in King's Landing as a poor guy in Flea Bottom does not mean I am scraping bodies and killing what would be injured men. I don't equate those two as just because he was poor in King's Landing doesn't mean that necessarily be that. And forgive me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if we actually have the confirmation of where the red grass field is. I don't think it's where it's portrayed at in the show.
We do. Keep fapping for a little bit, and I will let you know.
Yeah. I'll yap. But I think that if I'm not mistaken, I think it's traditionally that the red grass field is more in the Riverlands. I might be mistaken there because when Bittersteel and Daemon's children flee, when Bittersteel and his children flee, it's not. I don't think you would have been able to get away from King's Landing at the time. I don't think that's something that you would have had. I think they made for Goldtown.
But A Song of Ice and Fire wiki. This is the wiki that's based off of the books, not TV shows. Cites a locked Reddit thing from 11 years ago to say that while its exact location has not yet been confirmed, the Grass Field is known to be located somewhere near King's Landing.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll be wrong. I didn't realize that Damon's claim had gotten that code.
Yeah, it's not citing something from a week ago that's being written to be based off of the TV show. It's citing something from over a decade ago.
Well, that must be where Ira got the inspiration then too to go ahead and confirm that.
Probably,
which is fine. I'm not over here like, oh, I know exactly everything that happens. I just my recollection of it was I didn't realize that Damon's claim had gotten so close to the throne.
And the analysis of the battle doesn't sound like somewhere near King's Landing either. It honestly, when I was reading about it, it sounded like it should have taken place near the Vale of Arryn.
Yeah, right near the Trident, if I'm not mistaken. Like I thought that would have been the most
because it talks about how some of them were up here and they were able to fire onto Damon's forces. The description just doesn't sound like the Crown Lands.
Yeah, and the other thing about that too is that, and I'm not gonna berate the point. I mean, if that's what we're going with as a fandom is, and that's fine. I just thought it was a little bit more ambiguous in that. I also, from all the recollection of the campaign of Daemon, I didn't realize that basically, like, let's be honest, if he had won that battle, he would have taken King's Landing. That's how close it was. It might as well have been the Battle of the Blackwater Bay, because that's how close it was. If Dunk is able to flee bottom and get out of the city and go get bodies, get stuff off of bodies, and then come back. The purpose of a city back then was to control who comes and goes via taxes. So it's like his and that's a big part of the gate or the books later is who controls the gates. During the riot in the first book, and then during the battles in the second book, you have guards there who aren't just going to let. It's not just like come and go. It's like, what business do you have in the city?
Well, and that's why Blood and Cheese is also such a big thing. But that's another thing. That's
a whole other thing. Yeah. One controversy at a time here, Caleb. But what I mean by that is, like, it's never explicitly said in the books that, like, oh, Dunk does go and rob corpses. Mm-hmm. Like, that's what he does. Which to me is, like, a lot different than just being a big kid that's trying to survive and flee bottom. Like, there's a big gap there. Does it help establish what the Blackfire Rebellion? Yeah. And that's like to circle back to the flashback that in the first 5 minutes, I was like, this is good. We're using this time to establish the Blackfire Rebellion, which you actually don't get a lot of in the first book.
Yeah, and you need to understand stuff that goes on through the other stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's
I think, and I just want to jump in real quick, I do think that one of the things we need to remember, Ryan Condal is an executive producer on the show. I think it's basically one of the last things he's going to do outside of House of the Dragon. I don't think HBO and George are ever going to let him touch another project. But I do think that one of the things that HBO wants to do with all the ancillary shows is use them to try and provide information for when the other show comes out. So we're going to see a lot of Brendan Rivers stuff over probably the next 2 to 3 years of entertainment, because they're not going to want to spend a season explaining to us who Brendan Rivers is when they do the Blackfire show.
Well, and I think that that's a good idea, because you don't have to do that in House of the Dragon, or like introducing Bloodraven in the flashbacks in House of the Dragon is a good idea, because it gets us ready for his introductions in Dunk and Egg. And I think that's what the beauty of the universe should be. You know what I mean? That's where the spin-offs should support each other and do the work for each other, instead of redoing it, battling each other. You know what I mean? Because
it's kind of like when you're reading a book and then you get to like the second book and it spends the first 20 pages telling you everything that you just finished reading. Why is someone starting the second book of a series? Don't spend time telling me what I should have read in the first one.
I totally understand that. Yeah.
Did you ever read the series of Unfortunate Events?
Yes, I did.
Every single book, the first 3 pages were the exact same. Violet was a very smart child who liked to tie her hair up when she was thinking. Diggory was a very intelligent man, and the little kid bit everyone.
Yeah, and that's because old Lemony Snicket there was got a word count, I think, to get to.
100%. But George, so Dunk is I guess kind of a.
Okay, so this let me ask you this because we both don't like that he's trying to kill the person, but he decides that it's mercy because the guy wasn't going to live, right? We have that confirmation later when they do try to save him that he wasn't going to live. So Dunk was actually correct. The first, like his instinct was like, I'm sorry, I'm going to put you out of your misery.
Yeah.
So I was fine with that. I did not like Rafe being like, you're an idiot for trying to kill him, and then her being wrong, and then it's like, oh, I guess I was wrong. It's like, okay, so you're actually the idiot. Like,
yes. So I was not. I was when I originally thought that he was trying to kill him to prevent himself from being caught. I was sitting there thinking, this is really like too much for Dunk. And then when I changed my mind on why he was doing it, when they moved him, and the guy basically, from what I'm guessing, went into shock and died on the spot. That's when I kind of decided, okay, I think he was trying to put him out of his misery. And then I kind of became more okay with it. But I do agree, Rafe was not this mega turnoff. There's a lot of people that just absolutely hated Rafe. I'm glad that we got to see another kid, basically. But I do think Rafe was a little too large and in charge.
And I think it's because the first interaction with her, it was bitter in my mouth a little bit. It was like Dunk is doing what ultimately is a question of morality of like, do you not? And for her to like scold him for doing that and then fail at what she wanted and then like not apologize. I was like, well, Dunk was right. Like you were wrong. And I don't like the way you just spoke to the main character we've been watching for 5 episodes. Like I'm obviously on Team Dunk.
Is why this flashback should have been split in half. This bit should have been 2 or 3 episodes earlier. We should have gotten to see young Dunk because I do think they should have used flashbacks more. Well, more in the sense that instead of 15 minutes, there should have been 20 minutes. Like, I'm not talking about like an hour of flashbacks, but we should have been able to see, through let's say you have 6 episodes. So the first 2 episodes, your flashbacks are about like life in King's Landing. Next 2 episodes are getting picked by Arlen. Next 2 episodes are your training, leading up to
where we started with him.
Was he knighted?
Yes. I can see that. And I do value a lot of them telling just the story that we had in the book. Like we didn't get like a big flashback like that in the book. And so I would have been fine with like, hey, Arlen kind of picking him up out of Flea Bottom because that's what we do know happens. So I guess it's just like without rewriting the show, I wish that like I told you yesterday, if I had to have that flashback, if I wasn't allowed to cut it, I would have wanted it in episode 2. I think I would have been like when Egg starts to partner with Dunk, I would have been like, you could have had Dunk remembering his childhood and how Arlen protected him. 100%. Like that would have been the mirror for that episode of like, okay, well, he's taking Dunk under his wing because he was taken under a wing. Like that would have been fine for me. Rather than, and then you would have gotten the get up message a little bit earlier. You would have gotten that, and then you could have had that, in the next episode, or you could have had that, maybe if we had seen Rafe get killed, we would have understood why he was so eager to protect Tansel.
So a question. Okay, so let's get towards Rafe dying. So they get back into Flea Bottom. They go sell a bunch of stuff. We get another 4-legged dragon.
One controversy at a time. Come on.
Yeah. Another 4-legged dragon.
You'll summon Glidus if you don't.
But then we also get a gold cloak, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, I thought it was a nice touch of, you know, it was Leonardo DiCaprio sitting up, like, oh, I know what that is. He's a gold cloak. You know what I mean? I get it. I'll jump ahead. I thought all that was fine. Like, honestly, seeing a little bit about how poor people survived in Flea Bottom, I was fine with. Mm-hmm. Did it go on a little too long? Probably. You know, did we really need to know?
I told you this yesterday. It was 16-minute flashback. I think if it had been 12 minutes, I think it would have been fine.
Yeah, I also don't know if we necessarily needed them trying to get to the free cities. I think that was a little bit more member berries. Because, like, let's be honest. Yeah, because you get your silver stag, and you would have been like, all right, well, you know, what we should do now is try to get a better place to live and, like, do it a little better in Flea Bottom.
Or just immediately run into the scene where you run into the gold cloak and he kills her. Yes. Like, I would have cut out that conversation of where are we going to go and going straight into the gold cloak killing her.
Yeah, unless, and this is where I was kind of like, I thought it was going to go. I thought we were going to get like a cameo or like a nod or an Easter egg to like some of the lords that sided with the Blackfires trying to get out of King's Landing. Because I thought that, like, because when he's like, the prices increased, a lot of people are getting out. I was like, oh, it's because the war just ended. Yeah. All these people who were previously in town that were like, oh, we're going to support Daemon. You got to get out. So I thought we'd see like somebody with like a sigil on or something, but we didn't. And it's no big deal. I'm just saying, like, this would have been like, oh, that would have been fun because it would have set that up a little bit. But I will jump right to, I understand why Arlen did what he did. Like, I understand what the purpose of the scene was. I just wish we had gotten like him seeing the whole thing. Like, because as far as he's concerned, all he saw was a boy attacking a gold cloak.
Yeah.
Rather than like the boy and girl getting robbed by the gold cloaks and then killed. Like, if he had seen that, if we had gotten just like him seeing what had happened and maybe following them to see what happened and then protecting that, I'd have been like, all right, this is 10 out of 10 needed. But the fact that it was just kind of like, oh, I'm drunk and I'm stumbling out and it's super convenient that I'm willing to kill two armed men, just because I think I know what's going on. And I was like, okay, but you know, that's the only gripe I have there.
Yeah, and I think I'm on the side if there are sides. I'm on the side where I think he was kind of seeing his dead nephew again, and immediately decided to pound on the person that was going to kill him. And again, I like seeing Arlen because, you know, the entire time so far we've seen Arlen as basically a drunk, and which he clearly is. But I did like seeing him as a knight for those like minute where he's actually fighting. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, and I think that is totally fine. Like, to have him kill gold cloaks to protect Dunk, I was 100% okay with that. I just wanted a little bit more context of like, he's not just going around killing gold, because it feels very like video game cutscene to me of like, well, you know, you're in the right, so kill the guards, and you won't have to worry about it because there's no consequences. And it's like, okay, well, I would have like, you know, loved it if he had just been aware of like, you know, oh, I just seeing them get robbed. You know what I mean? Like that would have been fine. I didn't need a ton more. I think we probably could have just had him take Dunk under his wing right then. I don't know if we needed the following him for days scene. I
agree with that as well. I was not a fan of that. It made it seem too much like, are we doing time progression here? Is he just walking a long way?
Because here's the thing, right, Caleb? Ready for this? Do you remember that it was like 2 stags to get to the free city, right? With Rafe, and then he's like, the price is doubled it before. Well, with Rafe dead and the gold cloaks dead, Dunk had 2 stags.
Yeah, he's got.
So maybe we had like a little like, do I stay? Mm-hmm. What does my future look like here? And then Arlen offers him that, like, hey, you know, come. I need another squire. Come on.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And then he takes the money, puts it in his pocket. Yeah.
I did really love seeing the burial plot of his nephew. I thought that they didn't need to do that. Whenever you don't need to do something, you do it anyway. If I like it, I'm always really happy they did it.
Yeah,
But-
it's a small nod. You didn't need a whole
Exactly.
giant explanation of like who it was and what what happened to him and stuff like that. Because there should be some mystery. The world is big. I don't want to know everything.
Exactly.
I just thought that the framing of the scenes could have just used a little tightening up, and I don't think we'd even have the criticism of the flashback at all. I think we would be like, oh, okay, that makes sense, and this and that. So I was fine with the overall messages of the flashback. I think they could have gone on a different episode.
Yeah.
I think they could have been
said,
trimmed down. Yeah,
you probably could have cut about 4 minutes out of it. And I think there's a lot of people that were complaining that would not have been complaining. I do think I am very curious to see where we're going to go with what's the name of the house with the lamb and the cup?
The Stokeworths.
Stokeworth, yes. I am really curious to see where we're going to go with that because that's clearly important. I mean, that camera is on that thing for like 20 seconds.
Yeah, I will say that it did seem important. I'd like to know where it goes. Maybe we'll see it again in the second season. Maybe that was Bloodraven in disguise. Who knows? Who knows? You don't know.
Yeah, that guy's dead. That body was on the horse being taken back to where the Stokeworths are.
No, the guy who was riding the horse, right?
Oh, well, you mean the guy who was leading the horse? There was a dead body on that horse.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I definitely think that there was. I get the criticism. It's just like because it's such a critical episode.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
And because especially the whole time you're sitting there watching this, you know what's going on. Like, Dunk's basically just falling off his horse and passed out. And there's a dude coming to kill him.
Yeah.
So you're sitting there the whole time going, hey, can we, cool, if we had done this 3 episodes, we'd be loving it. But, the main guy we're here to watch is about to die. What's going on back there?
And the whole thing, we've been waiting to see Dunk fight the entire show.
Yes. And
you know what I mean?
I have been waiting to see, I think I told you this yesterday, since, to kind of add to it, a lot of people already know this, but, started watching the show, episode 4, season 7, was caught up, watched everything by the time the next episode came out. Within about 3 months after that, I had read just about every single thing that George has written, Westeros related. And the number one thing I'd always wanted to see was the Trial of the Seven.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there watching this going, okay, can we get back to the reason that I'm watching the show? And I would have preferred, instead of having 16 minutes of that, 12 minutes and then 4 minutes of seeing the different fights that were going on. Because I'd love to see the Kingsguard do in that armor fighting.
And let me pose this to you because I was thinking about this morning when I was getting ready for the day. I thought to myself, I was like, I'm not trying to be greedy and be like, oh, I need combat, I need action. I understand that they did it through the point of view of Dunk, and we were going to have to just figure out what happened afterwards, right? And I was fine with that.
Just like he did.
And I did think to myself, man, we had a tournament. Would it have really killed them to have another scene of just 2 different guys fighting in armor? You know what I mean? In episode 3, here's the melee. Here's the hand-to-hand melee. You know what I mean? Dunk's not in it because he can only compete in one thing. He can't afford to lose. But that would have been fun. Oh, here's the archery. Dunk and Egg are watching the archery of the tournament. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I really thought that would have been a great way to kind of get that, here's the action, here's the stakes, here's the world, without our character risking anything because our risk is coming later. But it also kind of gets that, let's have another joust. I kind of did think that we were going to get a few more just regular tournament jousts just for the action of it.
Well, I like what Mark's saying here. Oh, no, it's okay. For some reason, so StreamYard's been doing this lately. I'm going to have to read it off of YouTube. I was hoping for an injury tour, then flashbacks of the fight. So, at the end, kind of seeing, probably not done like this, but, a camera panning through and seeing everyone's hurt, and then kind of flashback to that fight. And then you see Baratheon with the limp, and it flashes to Maekar swinging the mace at him. Things
That
like
would have
that.
been-
I would have loved to see
Yeah.
more of the fights.
Especially
And-
because they already did the quick cuts in the
Yeah,
season. They
yeah.
were like, yeah.
Mhm.
It wasn't
and so
jarring.
I would have liked, and then kind of like we said earlier, we do get to see Makor kind of freak out and go, Arian, and then Adrian. No, I'm kidding. And Baelor and Baratheon, Lionel, grab him to stop him.
Yeah.
So I just kind of wish we had kept the camera over there for a little bit, got that laugh. I really wanted to hear the laugh.
Oh man, I know. That laugh would have been in like meme videos. Like people would be using that as like, especially if he had like the combat bloodlust and he looked crazy. He's like, like it would have been great.
And more than just associated with a girl that stuck her hand up people's assholes.
I know. I wasn't honestly. We've been having such a good time. I didn't really want to cause any major controversy, but I really just kind of started to lose my enjoyment of Lionel. And I'm a Baratheon boy, dude. I'm a Standerman. I love Robert, dude. I love Lionel. He's one of my favorite characters in all the books. And I was telling this to Caleb yesterday. Like, I actually do think that maybe the week to week you might have actually had a little bit more tolerance for him because you're like, oh, cool, Lionel's back. Oh, cool, another scene with Lionel. Oh, great.
I totally agree with you.
And then by the time I binged it, by the time like episode 5 or 6 came around, I was like, all right, I'm done with this interpretation of it. This foppish guy. Like, my wife actually thought they were going to just make him gay. Like, she actually just thought.
So look, you know what? We're pretty much getting towards the end of episode 5. When Friday night before episode 6 came out, so last Friday, I was sitting there scrolling through Twitter and I started seeing these tweets that were talking about leaks. And, I've seen the last episode and y'all are going to hate this because this is going to happen. So, and fuck y'all because you don't know what Game of Thrones is really about. Just complete idiots. And I was so fucking happy. Like, when Fossaway kissed the whore, I was so happy. Because, and it happened after Fossaway gives Dunk that really long hug. And one of the things these tweets kept saying was that Fossaway was going to end up, like, trying to make out with Dunk. And I was sitting there the whole time watching the episode going, please don't do it. Please don't do it, Ira.
He kisses Dunk and he's like, how do you like them apples, Dunk?
And, and when he made out with the whore, I've never been so happy to see someone kiss a whore. Never.
I was pretty hyped too because they had kind of been setting her up. And, could I have done without the...
I could have done without her.
The pregnancy. You know what I mean? I would have
yeah.
I would have been fine without that, especially because like my wife is pregnant, and so it's kind of like you don't know like the day after like that. Like
exactly, yeah. So that's Doug's look the whole time. He's going, wait, what?
Yeah,
I promise you, Fossaway, yours are not that powerful.
Yeah, no way is the seed that strong. Is the apple seed that strong? You know what I mean?
Hey!
And you like that?
Because it ain't yet ripe.
It ain't yet ripe. But I will say there's also a thing going around where it's like, oh, it's actually a Dondarrion kid. It's like, actually, it's a Flowers. It's actually a Flowers because Dondarrion didn't marry her and it's a bastard. So I'm sorry.
It's absolutely a bastard.
Yeah. So it's like, it's not actually a Dondarrion. It's a Flowers child.
True.
So it's like, it wouldn't be like, oh, is a Dondarrion actually the heir of the Fossaway? It's like, no, it's a Flowers. So sorry. I wouldn't care if we didn't have the words for the regions, for the bastards. That's my rant on that. But I was 50-50 on the horse scene with Sweetfoot because I kind of thought to myself, I was like, you've already made Raymond awesome. Like you've really.
I don't mind it. I didn't mind the horse thing.
Yeah, I know. I know. And I know a lot of people didn't, but I also thought it was like, we've gone to a long length here to show how valuable the horses are. And for him to just like, oh, bro, I got you your horse back. It's like, first of all, you don't even know that's his horse. Second of all, that horse might be gone. It could have been used by another knight in the tournament.
Yeah.
And third, that's like 600 stags. Like does he get
600 or does he get 300?
I thought he got 600 because the way he was negotiating with Steely Pate in the beginning but maybe he only gets 300 for. I think he gets 600 for the armor, and then Steely Pate requests 600 for the armor, so maybe he does only get 300.
Yeah, Pate requests 6, and then he tells him that like one stag will hold the price, but he has to get the rest of it tomorrow.
Yeah, and that's fine. I just thought, I was like, that's an enormous amount of money for Raymond to just be like, yo, bro, I got you this.
Yeah.
And it's
especially
like,
when you just find out that the other one had taken all of Raymond's stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And it would make more sense for, like, honestly, the scene should have been Steely Pate coming to bring the thing back to Dunk, saying, hey, I got this for you.
And that's where...
And then Dunk hands it over to Raymond as a reward.
For a knight that remembered his oath.
Yeah, but then Dunk hands it over to Raymond, being like, you've been a good friend. Like, you... And then Raymond be like, yo, I can start my house with this horse. Like,
yeah.
Anyway, just nitpicking. I loved it. It's just stuff that
But see, that's what's nice. And that's also one of the things that was so great at the beginning of Game of Thrones. And, you know, you could do it in 6 and 7. Because it wasn't, for me at least, the issues weren't as glaringly obvious during, prior to season 8. Once 8 came out, it became more obvious how bad 7 was. But in a vacuum, 7, for me at least, is still a decent season.
Yeah, I was there, Caleb. I was there 3,000 years ago when the signs were there.
Different story.
Well, I was there. I was arguing online, and it was like, you don't know how it's going to end. You don't know how it's going to end. I'm like, what? So once we get to the end, we can shit on this, and then we did, and now we have. And I still hold my controversial opinion. I don't know if you remember it, but Hard Home ruined the show
because of the type of zombies.
Because of the type of zombies.
Yeah. No, I don't think it's controversial. I still think that the best episode in the entire show is Watchers on the Wall.
Oh, I just watched it. because it's so good. Like, does not.
I haven't watched it in a long time.
Oh, dude, it's peak.
I was going back through all of them. What I was doing, this is probably about 2 years ago, and then we'll get back to the show. I would read the book, and then I would watch the episodes that went to that book. And I finished the 3rd book, and I said to myself, I think I'm just going to stop. Because I know how this ends.
That's so wise.
I don't want to end up. And so I didn't. I think correct me if I'm wrong, but see, the 2nd book is like the next, it's like season 2 and like 4 episodes of season 3.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
And so I didn't want to deal with the shit of not having the 6th book, but also dealing with season 8. So I
don't blame you
watching them.
But yeah, I just rewatched Watchers on the Wall, and I think it might actually be the greatest episode of television ever made. I think that actually is.
Look, Battle of the Bastards is great, but the problem. Hang on. One of the problems with Battle of the Bastards is once you remember, here they're about to show up. And then once when the first time that Ramsay dies, you're never going to get the hate that you have for Ramsay back again. You're never going to watch that scene with the same amount of anger towards Ramsay as you had that first time. So every time you rewatch Battle of the Bastards, it gets less and less incredible. To the point now where I'm just like, it was a good episode. I remember how it felt. But doesn't do it for me anymore. Watchers on the Wall still does it for me.
Watchers on the Wall still does it because the context still is there, right? You're like, okay, here comes the wildlings, here comes Mance, here comes fucking mammoths riding, or giants riding fucking mammoths.
And there's an oath to the death. Love that.
Oh yeah, that's so good. Mag the Mighty, Rip, Gren the Mighty, Rip. Maybe an heir of Dunk. We don't know. Allegedly in the book. But to circle it back there, the final controversy, to wrap this up, the final controversy, which there's a couple of other things we could do. I wasn't a giant fan of Egg trying to kill Aryan. I could have done that.
I liked it if they had done it right. I don't think they did it right. And I talked about this last night. So I'm gonna jump in front of you because we're gonna get to where this controversy is.
Yeah.
But how the entire last episode should have gone was the first 5 minutes. The Targaryens show up and say, Maekar wants to talk to you. He should have gone and talked. Maekar should have said, I think the conversation in that room was great. I think him saying people are going to think that, but for you, we would have been living the high life. Every single time something bad happens, they're going to say Baelor wouldn't have let it happen. They're going to blame me because I wanted to kill my brother. Only the gods know that I didn't want to.
Right.
All of this stuff. That entire conversation was beautiful. And then what should have happened is Maekar should have offered offered Egg as a squire. He should have said, you come back to Harrenhal. I loved how he gave props to Arlen. And then Dunk should have refused, said right then, said no, offered to bring him on the road with him. Gotten the whole, when was the last time Darian slept in a ditch and all that beef that Eggs ate.
Good lines.
And then going away. Egg. I've been doing that this entire show.
You've done great.
Egg then goes and tries to kill Arian with Maekar in the room. Maekar does that whole thing, putting his hand on his shoulder, and at that moment, going, he cannot stay with me. He must go with a better person. And then called Dunk the ring and all that stuff.
He brings him to Dunk himself. That would have been down at the elm tree. That would have been huge. Yeah,
that's how it should have happened.
Yeah, the thing is it didn't happen like that. And the reason why because we know what happened. I don't like the fact that Maekar just killed his brother. Mm-hmm. Like, he just lost his brother and died. Like, Baelor's dead because of his own mace, regardless of the circumstances. Like, he did it. He struck the blow. Mm-hmm. And then here he is. He's like, oh, no, it's cool, Egg. Like, I get that you want to kill your brother. It's like he should either be like, I need to get him out of this, or he should be mad at Egg. Be like, no, you don't understand how valuable family is. Like,
I'll tell you, I really loved. So you got the camera. It's showing Egg from, let's say, here up. You see Maekar's hands. When the second the embrace finishes, like, it gets you 100% embrace, basically loading screen type thing, and the hands tighten, and you see Egg just he goes from tensing to just completely relaxed. His shoulders drop like 5 inches, and he just starts bursting in tears. I thought it was perfect.
Yeah, great acting. He nailed it.
Good. Dex did a fucking fantastic job.
Yeah, Dex and Maekar did a great. I feel bad I haven't looked up Maekar's actor's name yet. I should, though, because he really did a great job. He's great in the book too. Like, the character is so like rich and complex that it's so fun to have that reality come true for us. And but yeah, here we are. The final controversy is Egg sneaking off instead of having Maekar. Give him that permission, which, the straw man argument online I'm seeing is that it's like, oh, well, it wouldn't make any sense for him to let him go with a stranger he just met. And it's like, yeah, well, that's how that's the novellas. Like, sorry that it doesn't make any sense for you.
Sean is here. Okay. He brought this up several times. And he is kind of right. He's not completely right, but he's kind of right. Now, I don't remember if we get an actual explanation in 2 and 3, so correct me. But in the end of the Hedge Night, it is not clear that Maekar tells Egg he can go with him. It does not say, and Maekar. Now, I will say we do know that because of something that happens in the second book, that he clearly got the ring. So either he stole it, and Maekar is walking around without a signet ring going, that's weird, I forgot to put that on today. Or he gave it to Egg.
Well, I mean, I'm not. I'll go to the text myself when I have the opportunity, but I very strongly recall the permission being granted, because otherwise, Dunk would be written down and Egg would be returned.
So, again, I totally agree with that. But let me get to
And then
it.
also, like in the third book, well, the Blood Raven is seems very aware that Dunk has egg. So it seems like it's common knowledge in King's Landing.
Yeah. So, and Sean makes a good point that, again, this is Dunk's POV. So Makar never tells Dunk. But it is my opinion that the thing that ruins all of this, okay, the thing that ruins this interpretation or the ability to interpret what happened, the ability for us to sit there and go, hey, do you think he told? Like, do you think Makar's okay with it? Is there at the end, Makar counting his children and going, where the hell is Aegon? If he had told Aegon to go with Dunk, he would not need to answer that question.
Yes, and there's a comment from Jose Ataco, which I misspoke. I was a little more generality. Common knowledge to the family.
Yeah.
Common knowledge to the royal family. So maybe it's not completely common knowledge to everybody in King's Landing. It's common knowledge to the house.
I love Sean saying Blood Raven, knowing some things that no one else does is common knowledge is a bit of a stretch. Of any character, I agree. I agree with what you said as well, Dan. That's probably common knowledge in the family. But of any character to base common knowledge of, Blood Raven's definitely not it.
Fair enough.
Guy knows everything.
Sure. I can cede that point, but it still doesn't. I'm sorry, it doesn't make any sense that they would be as freely moving about as they would. They would be worried. Like Egg would be worried that his father's going to find it.
Yeah. So
Egg has permission or he doesn't.
Yeah, the thing that annoys me is if Egg lied to Dunk and stole something from his father, there's been no change in Egg's character since the beginning of the show.
Right.
Egg has just watched his uncle, the Prince of Dragonstone, the heir apparent, the Baelor Breakspear, the person beloved by the small folk, die because of a lie that he told, and suddenly he's ready to lie again. It's been 9 hours. It doesn't work for me.
Yeah, it's also it completely puts Dunk at risk.
Yep.
I agree. It completely puts him at risk. Like, we're not talking about a video game where it's like, oh, okay, well, they rode off and now they're doing their own thing. It's like, no, Makar would be like, oh, that Hedge, like my son ran off with the Hedge Knight. Ride them down and bring my son back because I love him so much. I'm not going to let him go with him. Or he's got permission because he definitely does in the books. Because now I'm remembering in the Sworn Sword, they like the ring is there as an insurance policy.
Yes, it's
given by the family. I'm 99% certain that Makar gives them the ring and the boot because that way they know they can get out of any situation. I'm actually like this whole. It's never been specified in the book thing. I'm not actually certain that that's true.
Yeah. So it is not specified in a Hedge Knight. It is specified in Sworn Sword. Later. Right.
Yeah.
So Sean last night and I right now we're just speaking towards a Hedge Knight. The problem with hang on, I got this thought one. So one of the things that there were people considering were that they did this so they could bring Makar into season 2, which would be cool because I like Makar. I like the actor. I do want to see more of him. The problem is Sam Sproul gave an interview where he said, I'm not going to be in season 2. So why are we doing that? There's just this is really the only thing I can do with the flashback. I can do with the out of order events in the first 3 episodes because it doesn't change the story.
Yeah,
this
I
changes
agree.
The story.
This isn't just change the story. Now it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And then I still have to get this confirmed, so maybe someone in the chat can confirm it for me. But apparently Ira Parker did say in the post press conference or post show stuff that he that they'll figure out what they're going to do with that later.
Sure. And listen, if they came out and said, look, it was a funny thing, we had a great idea, like, oh, where the fuck is Aegon? Like, oh, okay. Like, at the moment I was like, oh, all right, you're kind of taking away Maekar's maturity and seeing this opportunity for Aegon to be a better person than the rest of his children. All right, I guess we're going to see how this ages. I mean, this feels to me like a bit of a Rhaenys Dragon Pit moment where it's like, it's a crazy moment. And, but actually, by the way, it has huge ramifications for characters and wasn't in the story at all. And maybe we should have just stuck to what George wanted, because listen, if there was no Sworn Sword, if there was no Mystery Knight, if there was no rest of it, we could be arguing, till the sky turned yellow about whether or not he gave permission. Yeah. But I am certain that the story could not take place without permission being granted, because then, like, first of all, Dunk wouldn't want Egg to be running off with him. That's why he asked for permission for Maekar instead of going to Egg and saying, you should run away with me. Like that's just foolish, because he's done with Prince. He's done crossing princes. He's not done with them. So
but so I know you gotta head out in just a sec. Overall, does this show bring you back into this world and make you go, you know what? Maybe I should go reread some of this stuff or rewatch some of this stuff?
I am gonna go reread The Sworn Sword for sure.
Do you think you will be watching? Did you watch season 2 of House of the Dragon?
I watched all of it. Yeah.
Okay.
I watched it. I didn't watch it week to week. I watched it later.
Yeah. Do you think you're going to be watching season 3? Does this kind of make you want to watch it just to be able to, kind of be part of the conversation?
I missed talking with you about it, man. I didn't, I kind of forgot how much I enjoyed just kind of getting into the details of it and not driving my wife crazy. So that's been nice to have that freedom again. So, I will say that I will probably watch it, but for the reasoning, I don't really care about Westeros that much anymore. Like, I think I'm more interested to see if I'm correct from my season 1 prediction of them turning Rhaenyra into the good person. I'm more interested to have that finality, or if they finally get to, they're both bad, like they're both horrible people.
I do think we're going to get horrible people, but it's going to be shaped but for the thing that's going to happen in the first episode, which I'm sure what it's going to be. That's going to be the thing that really drives her down that mad Targaryen path.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see what they do. I'm interested to see what they do, because I will probably watch it. The story is bitter. You know what I mean? Like, it's not this. It's not
as good as it could be.
Yeah, well, it's just not this. You know what I mean? Like, this is fun. This is like, oh, cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even I'm really excited for the Sworn Sword. Like, I'm so excited for that.
Next year, buddy. Next January.
Yeah, I'm pumped. It seems like we're going to get long-haired Dunk. And,
they announced that as well.
Maester, and we're going to get to see Brown Ben Plum, the shit knight. He's gonna be the worst, dude. People are gonna hate him, dude.
Yeah.
And I see Sean in the chat. Sean, is my first interaction with you. It seems like you are a very passionate Song of Ice and Fire fan. I see that Egg likely does have permission, and maybe it was a show by Maekar. I can believe that. I'm not hard-headed. I think that that's what makes the most sense, honestly, and it would be a nice, funny thing, so I can live with that. So, what do you think of that? Do you think a prince would need to put the show on there, Caleb?
I think I'm going to adopt that as my headcanon. That Maekar was putting on a show to kind of disguise what was going on. I'm going to adopt that as headcanon.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
I'm okay with that.
As long as that is exactly like moved in, like they don't have to redo anything.
Yeah.
They can just say, my father gave me permission, and,
Well, Dan, I know you gotta go, man. I am so happy that you enjoyed it. I'm so glad to have you back over here. And I mean, we've had 3.5 hours now of talking about Westeros, and I have missed talking about that with you a lot.
Yeah, it's nice to finally have an outlet for it again. It's been a cold winter, Caleb, of no
winter
new
is always coming.
Yeah, of no new material that's brings me joy. But it's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me on the show, man. We'll chit chat more. Maybe we can work it in a little bit more routinely if there's other stuff that we can talk about. I'll be honest with you, man. I have been in the One Piece world. I have been watching the anime.
That's a whole different thing. I don't do anime, man. That's too much.
All right, there, Mr. Clone Wars guy. I'm sure you can't do any animation.
Clone Wars is not anime; it's animation. They're two different things.
What does anime stand for? But animation.
Anime is Japanese animation.
Listen, all I'm saying is I didn't watch anime before I watched One Piece, and the stories are very good. I enjoy it very much, and there's 1,000 episodes, so it's like
I'm really happy for you. But I'm gonna tell you, dude, if you can't tell your fucking story in 1,000 episodes, then you don't have a good story.
Oh, dude, you're wrong because there's like 100 stories in the story, dude. I'm sorry. Honestly, Caleb, you would like it. You should watch it. It's very good. It's very, very good. I'm not saying that as a simp either.
I'm too much of a red-blooded American to watch anime.
Oh, you can't go full weeb?
No, I'm still really angry about Pearl Harbor.
Oh, it's okay. Come on. I think we got him back for that one.
I wanted a third son.
Also, I think our new member tonight, Mr. Watari, you might be offending him a little bit. That's a very Japanese name. But I'll leave it there. And I think it's good. I think you'd like it. It's been a pleasure to come back. Chat, you are much bigger than you were last time I was here. Thank you for taking care of Caleb. New Squalor, seems like you're an excellent mod. Thank you, all of you guys, for having me so much. It has been an absolute pleasure. And I hope to see you guys all again soon.
Peace out, man.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Guys, thank y'all so much for being here. I am first off, Dan's completely right that over the course of the 3 years and 4 months that I've been doing this, I've been able to see chat go from 0 people, which it absolutely was at the beginning, to we've had 150 people in here before. T&Me's going on with a whole lot of stuff. Tuesdays are not great nights, but I am blessed and grateful to have y'all in here. I hope y'all enjoyed that. Jose Taco ends with Kings. If Egg would not have lied, maybe he never would have been in the puppet show, and Tinsel would have. So yes, Jose, absolutely. So Egg's first lie is crucial to the story. It's absolutely crucial. But if Egg lies again and lies about Maekar giving him permission, then he hasn't learned anything over the story. All he's doing is still lying. So that's why that annoys me. But if Sean is right and Maekar is just trying to hide the fact that he knows Egg is missing, then we're good. We're all good. I'm okay with it. Like I said, I'm adopting it for my headcanon. But like I was saying, y'all, thank y'all so much. It's been a glorious 3.5 years. We started this with Dan. It's awesome to have him back. I'm glad that everything's going great for him. And we'll see y'all later. I am going to be, if anyone is planning on watching Jay's Welcome to the Rebellion, talking about, I believe they're watching the State of the Union. I don't think they're just talking about it. I think they're watching it. I'm going to be over there with them. I think it's Jay, me, Wicked, and Mo, I think are the 5 of us or 4 of us that are going to be there. Looking forward to it. I always love doing Welcome to the Rebellion. So y'all have a great night. Do not forget, do not black pill. Do not go quietly into that good night. There's good in this world. It is worth fighting for. There are good stories are coming. We've got Daw's Revenge on the horizon. Season 2 of Night of the Seven Kingdoms is going to be great. There are good stories still out there. You do not need to live in this world where all we get are these stupid, gay, anti-right, pro-globalism bullshit stories. There's good in this world, and it is worth fighting for. Peace out!